Tatiana Chanel is pressing charges against Boston Richie after she claims that he allegedly put his hands around her neck and choked her out for about 20 times in 2 hours. Tatiana Chanel is claiming that she is 4 to 8 weeks pregnant and Boston Richie knew this before he laid hands on her. She is claiming this all went down. The viral video footage of him snatching her phone out her hand took place. Claims that during their altercation, he literally pushed her into the back seat, would not let her out of the car, and told her that if she called the police, he was gonna delete her. In addition to all of that, Tatiana is claiming that when Boston Richie laid hands on her, she lost consciousness and even puked in the vehicle about 2 times. According to her, this all went down after they left the Sakai, Houston, Texas, claiming that each time he would put his hands around her neck, it would last for about 6 to 10 seconds. Boston Richie has not been arrested in connection to this crime. Something tells me he is about to have to pay up or go sit down. Neighbors, I'm curious to know what you...
Welcome back to An Orange Life. Thanks for tuning in. This is Deanna. Thank you to any new subscribers. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for liking. We're trucking along. So thank you so much. All right, let's jump right to it. You see the thumbnail. You saw the video in the beginning. Let's talk about Tatiana Chanel. Now, I was going to combine the video with the two other women, but I decided to separate them because this young girl, she's young, and I think it's important to concentrate on the young people right now. And I'll come back and do a separate video on the other one because it's really some differences here. Tatiana Chanel is only 19 years old. Now, I had to do some research because I really don't know about this young lady, so I had to not only look into some things, but also ask this younger generation about her because I really don't know what is this girl's claim to fame. So what I found out was apparently she was doing some modeling when she was younger, and her claim to fame is her looking much older than what she is. She's been modeling on social media, on Instagram, wearing provocative clothing. From what I understand, she was modeling some clothes from some designer that Ari uses. And this Tatiana Chanel child, because she's only 19, she just got out of high school. I mean, this is ridiculous. This girl is a part of the crop of the next, so-called baddies, if that's what the term you want to use, because let's go in order. We're going to start with the Alexis Skies, the Bernice Brogers, the Amber Roses. That's that generation. Now, before them was the Megan Goods and the Corinne Steffens and what's the other one that's on Joe Button? Melissa Ford. That they were first. Okay, Melissa Ford, Corinne Steffens. They're from my era. Then you have the Bernice Burgos and the Alexis Skies. That's that next generation. Then you got the Aries, the Jada Waiters, Des Dior. That's that generation. Gorgeous Doll. And now you got Tatiana Chanel and these little young girls. That's the next crop coming up. So these crop of girls that are coming up with Tatiana Chanel, they're looking at the Aries, Jada Waiters, and Des Dior's. This is what they're looking at on social media. So my generation, the Megan Goods and the Corinne Steffens, social media was out, but it wasn't like that. I think they were out around when MySpace first hit, so they were just video vixens. So again, let's get back to Tatiana Chanel, and I'm just gonna call her Tatiana instead of this whole name. Is this is crazy, and so this is this next generation. And from what I understand, I did a little research, some research online, plus, asking these young people. She doesn't have a father in her life. The father is not around for what I've read. And her mother is she's in the beauty business. She has some business in Miami. And I'm not going to sit here and say that her mother didn't do anything to try to stop some of this, because this next generation of young people, I'm noticing it's difficult to reel them in. This next generation of young people don't want to listen. Social media is basically raising them. And I'm not saying that her mother doesn't have a role in this, But what I am going to say is being a single mother and raising children in today's society where social media is king to these kids. That's why you have a lot of young people that are out of control, because you have a lot of single parent homes raising these kids, and social media and video games are their parents at this point. So, from what I'm hearing, like I said, she was modeling at a young age, and what her claim to fame is that she looked much older than what she is, and people couldn't. They didn't realize that when she really, really started being noticed, she was 17, and she started wearing a lot of revealing clothing. She was wearing clothes by this designer that designs for Ari, and and this young lady has the aesthetics that you need for Instagram to make money, or social media. So I'm also finding out that this young woman did have some work done, lip fillers. She's had some lip fillers. I don't know if she's had a BBL or not, or a boob job. That's something I'm not 100% sure of. But this young girl has been very well developed for a long time, and she looks much older than what she is. So having said that, this young lady is watching from this is what I'm seeing, okay? I'm seeing a young teenage girl whose frontal lobe hasn't closed, it hasn't been developed, and she's been watching Ari and these other girls, Des Dior and Jada Wade, and these girls who are all over social media with the expensive bags and the clothes and the hair and the makeup and the bust down chain, the bust down weave and the bust down chain, and their baby daddies are rappers, and the baby daddies are also, I'm not going to say little baby is, because I haven't heard that, but we heard about G Herbo. Ari has mentioned that G Herbo has been abusive. She's also mentioned that Moneybag Yo has been abusive. So this is what these young girls are watching, and they think that it's the it thing to be like Ari, because these girls from this Ari and Jada Wade and them, they make their lives to be so great and so perfect. They put their clothes and makeup on, and they put up a smile, and they make life seem so great with their rapper boyfriends. And even after being abused, because if we can remember, I believe it was sometime last year, there was a video with Ari and Moneybag Yo on some island somewhere, and she was there was a leaked audio about him being abusive, and then she took it back saying it was a joke or something like that. So, that this younger generation is trying to normalize domestic violence. They're normalizing it on social media, because behind the scenes, it's nothing normal about it. Now, what I know about these young women, not just Ari, but even this Tatiana Chanel child, these young women are very insecure, and they're very competitive. These young women, they realize that they think, I'll just say that, they think that their looks is all that they have. That's what they think, because that's what these girls use. These girls know that their look is what gets money right now and attention from rappers and other celebrities. So they think it's the in thing to do to be with these guys. So, what I'm trying to get across, and hope that these younger women don't understand, this is not this is not what you think it is. These young women are glamorizing the life with material things. They're making you believe that having the bags and the jewelry, and being in the Bentleys, and going to these good restaurants and all of these things, and the parties, that it's this great life, and it's actually not. And what these young women do when they put up these social media personas, because that's what they are, they have to keep putting up these personas. It doesn't just stop with, a video here and a picture there. Even when these girls go through domestic violence, they still come back to social media and put pictures up that are airbrushed or have filters on to make it look like there's nothing wrong with them, to keep up their looks and things so that they can make money, because that's what this is about. But let me explain something to y'all. Everything that glitters isn't gold. And also, the story with this young lady, can't nobody tell me, I don't care what nobody say. That girl ain't care nothing about no bags, no jewelry, no makeup, no trips, when he had her in the back of that Jeep beating on her for 2 hours. If you would have asked that girl right there in that moment, would she give it all up to get out of there? I'm sure she would have. Because that's that's a fear that you don't even know what the outcome is going to be. When you're in situations like that with domestic violence, sometimes you don't know if you're going to make it out alive. And you know how I know? Because I've been in that situation. So I'm not just sitting here talking as, a healthcare professional, as a nurse. I've also been a victim of domestic violence when I was younger with my first husband, my children's father. So that's how I know. I was young and I was in a situation where I thought that I wasn't going to live that day. I sat in that car in total fear. And I knew that if I made it out of that situation, I had to go. And I was right. I had to go. And unfortunately for this young girl, she's young and she doesn't see, because of the fact she is not old enough. She doesn't have the insight or the judgment to know, you know what, if I don't get out of here, this guy just might unalive me one day. One day is just not going to be, because this, from what I'm hearing and what they were saying, he had her in the back of the car for 2 hours beating on this girl. And I know it wasn't consistent because nobody's beating on somebody for 2 hours, but he had her in there yelling, threatening, grabbing her. Like the guy said in the video, he was choking her. He was doing all this, and I'm telling you, at that moment, I know that young girl didn't care about none of those material things when she was in there, not knowing if she was going to live or not. So can't nobody tell me different. Now, since this incident, this girl has been online arguing with one of his exes and talking about how he bought her this and bought her that. This young woman has no idea what her life is going to be like. What you young women don't understand is that when you are in a domestic violence situation and you do not take it seriously and you think that, you get out of one situation, oh, he loves me, he buys me a bag, he does this, he does that, there's going to come a time when it's going to go too far and you're not going to have that chance again. You're not going to be here. That's what you're not understanding. These things never turn out well. There are women every day that we're hearing about online whose men are unaliving them because it went too far. And usually, when these men have unalived these women, that wasn't the first time that they put their hands on them. It just got to the point where it just escalated to that point. Because one thing about men, what y'all don't understand, is when you let a man get away with something with you, he's going to keep doing it and he's going to up the ante. He's not going to stop. It doesn't matter how much you cry. It doesn't matter how many kids you have. It doesn't matter how much you love him. None of that matters. None of it matters. Now, the way that he beat that girl, that Tatiana young woman, that's not the first time he put his hands on her. And if she continues to stay with him, it won't be the last. And this girl is pregnant. Why she would get pregnant by him is beyond me, because I wouldn't be having his baby at 19 years old. I wouldn't be having it. Now I'm going to bring up another young woman who is proving what I'm talking about. Let's go back in time to Cuban Doll. I remember Cuban Doll. If we could go back to 2016, 17, I remember Cuban Doll. She was around that time with her, Molly Breezy. I remember, Cash Doll was hot back then. This is when all the dolls was on the scene. Cuban Doll was a pretty girl. And this is around the time that World Star was big. There is a video, and I don't know if it's still on World Star or not. There is a video of some guy uh, beating up on Cuban Doll in a pool at a hotel. I saw it myself. So that's when she was young. She was young. She might have been around Tatiana's age. That's one incident. I saw another incident where she was dating Kodak Black. Kodak Black made her crawl on the floor and was throwing money at her. He grabbed her by her head, made her get that. I saw that myself. That was on World Star. That was on World Star. I saw that too. Cuban Doll was also, now mind you, that's the second incident that I saw myself. Now I'm going to the third incident. The third incident is that she was beat up by some guy, I don't know who it is, and Takashi 69 took her to the hospital, and then she went with him somewhere. They went to some island or whatever. Her eye was black. I think she had either a sprained arm or something. I remember her having some sort of sling on or something like that. I vaguely remember that, but that is the third guy that has done that to her. Now, I looked up Cuban Doll today because I wanted to see how she looks because I haven't seen her in a long time. I did hear recently that a friend of hers beat her up for having sex with her boyfriend, and supposedly she dragged her out the house and beat her up or something. This was recent, maybe last week or something like that. I looked up Cuban Doll and I saw a video, and that girl looked like she'd been through hell. Once upon a time, she was a pretty girl. And I'm not saying she's, not attractive now. What I'm saying is she shouldn't look like she looks now. This is only 2025. When I saw this girl, it was like maybe 2017, 2000, somewhere between 2017 and 2019. It was somewhere in there. And she was very young then. And the way she looks now, she looks like she's almost 40. I'm going to, if I can find, if I'm able to upload the video on here, I'm going to upload the video of what I saw today if I'm able to do it. Because this is a video where there aren't any filters and you can really see her face. She's putting filters on her videos now and her pictures. I saw pictures of her where I looked in her eyes and that girl is dead inside. That girl is dead inside. I don't know what she's going through. I really don't know what's going on in her career. I know she doesn't rap anymore. And if she does, I haven't heard it. And, she was accused of being with Offset by Cardi B, and come to find out, she says she wasn't. It was her friend, but we don't know. But this girl has been basically passed around and used and abused over and over again. And if this Tatiana girl, if somebody doesn't help her soon, she's the next Cuban Doll. She's the next Cuban Doll. And see, what I'm noticing about this young woman is that she, I'm sure that she has some fear of what happened to her, but she's so caught up in being on social media, she's not taking it seriously. These young people I call live a social media life. And when I say social media life, they're disconnected from reality. This Tatiana girl does not realize that when a man tells you, if you call the police, I'm going to unalive you, baby, those threats are real. Those threats are real. And these men out here, some of them don't care. Some of them they snap and they risk it all. And see, a lot of these rappers, these lower level rappers, because I don't know Boston Richie. I never heard a Boston Richie song. I never heard of Boston Richie being at the top of the charts. I never heard of him being doing duets with anybody, with Lil Wayne, T.I., any of the big guys, Jay-Z, any, Little Baby. Like, I don't hear none of this. Now, I'm not saying he don't do something. I'm just saying the name don't ring a bell. He ain't with Little Dirk and King Von. Like the name don't ring a bell. So if the name don't ring a bell, you ain't too high up on the totem pole. So if you ain't too high up on the totem pole, your money ain't that great. Now, the only way you probably got money is because you're probably doing illegal stuff too. So that might be a part of it. But money is starting to dry up because the entertainment world is, everybody's going broke right now because Diddy being locked up started a chain reaction as far as money is concerned. And everybody and their mama is out on tour right now. So I don't know who this guy is, but what I will say, if he starts to, start losing money and start having like feelings of, I have nothing to lose, that young girl ain't gonna be here much longer. Because when a man feels like he has nothing to lose, he goes right after the closest thing to him, which is a female. That's what these men do. They don't go after the men, they go after the females. That's what they do. These men that beat on women. So the what young women, you younger women, women under 25, you younger women, y'all need to understand when a man puts his hands on you, it's not going to stop. It's not. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. And he may even take you out of here. And I don't care what he says to you, what he buys you. None of this is worth your life. And also, you young women, you have to stop living a social media life. Social media is not real. It's not real. People are faking and lying every single day. If you take Ari off of social media, that girl is not happy. What she wants, she's not getting. She wants a husband. She wants a family life. She's not going to have that, at least not right now. She gets on social media and she pretends her life is so great. Look at me, look at my clothes, look at my watch, look at my car. Every year, Ari gets a new car, and then all 1 minute she got it, and then next minute she don't see it no more. So this is how you know this stuff is fake. This stuff be rented. These people rent cars. They can rent jewelry. That's what y'all don't understand. They get jewelry and they show it off. Don't you know that a lot of this stuff be sponsorships? Y'all don't know that it be different, jewelers and different people. Yeah, wear this on your Instagram so that people will want it. It's all, it's all fake. It's all fake. A lot of these young girls get clothes that you can rent designer clothes. Did you know that? You know that you can rent it or borrow it, whatever the hell they it's all kinds of things. They have also knockoffs that people that designers make for them to wear and you think it's the real thing. It's so much fake to social media. It's disgusting. And these younger people fall for it every time. You think it's the glamorous life. It's not. A lot of these girls cry themselves to sleep. And before these people sit and say, "Oh, well, she be crying with a bag. At least she crying. She got a Birkin." Well, what is a Birkin going to do when the man blacks your eye? What's the Birkin going to do when your arm is broke? What's the Birkin going to do when your family has to bury you? What does a Birkin really mean? I mean, if you really sit and think about it, let's really think. What does having a Birkin bag really mean in your life? Does it make you a better person? Does it make you look better? Does it make you act better? Does it bring you more money? Like, what does a Birkin bag actually do? That you want this bag, these girls idolize these bags and think that they're the epitome of wealth. They're not the epitome of wealth. They're not. And you don't even have the listen. I don't give two shits about a Birkin bag. You know what I care about? I care about a financial portfolio. I care about generational wealth. I care about real estate. I care about checks hitting my account every week. And I'm talking about real checks. I'm not talking about $200, $500. I'm talking about real money. That's what I care about. I could give a rat's ass less about Birkin bags. I care about experiences, traveling, spending time with my family, creating good memories with my family. That's what I like. All this, I could give a rat's ass less about a Louis bag, a Birkin bag. I don't care about that stuff for what? It means nothing. You buy it, you carry it around a couple times, then you bored with it and you get the next thing. That's the American trap. The American trap that never turns out well. When you're chasing all these material things, what does that say about you? It means nothing. There's no real happiness. This girl is with this guy that's beating on her. Don't you want a guy that's going to love you? Don't you want a guy that's going to listen to you, protect you, provide for you, care about you when you're sick, marry you, be there to raise your children? Don't you care about that more than just having a Birkin bag and a watch and a bust down chain? Like, none of that means anything when you're crying in your bed with a black eye. What does that mean? Because when I was with my ex husband, I had nice things. He was bringing me watches. He was always taking me shopping at Bloomingdale's and Neiman's. So what did that mean? It meant nothing. I walked around in designer clothes and I was miserable and afraid because if he had an attitude, then I had to be fearful. Is he going to take it out on me? Because what got me out of there was having my kids. That's what got me out of there because I wasn't raising my children in domestic violence. I left him as soon as I healed up from having my daughter. My kids are 18 months apart. And when he started his stuff, that and I was pregnant. He by the time I got pregnant with my daughter, the domestic violence started when my son was close to a year old. But see, I got pregnant with my daughter when my son was 8 months old. So I couldn't do anything until after I had my daughter. Once I had my daughter and healed up, I got the hell out of there so damn fast it ain't make no sense. I put a plan in place because I was not raising my children in a domestic violence situation because that is not a situation you want to be in. I spent a year living in fear between being pregnant and healing up. I let him do whatever he wanted. When I say I let him do, I said nothing. He was cheating. He was doing whatever he wanted to do. I said nothing because all I cared about was leaving with my life and my kids. That's all I cared about. So for a year, I cooked, I cleaned because I didn't work. I had a job, but I was out on leave. He didn't want me to work. And that's all a part of the control. But I kept my job. I went out on leave. I was smart enough not to give up my job. He asked me to give up my job, and I said no. I didn't say anything to him. That's not true. I didn't tell him no. I put in a leave of absence for a year. I put in for because that's when the Family Medical Leave Act came in the 90s. So I was able to use that. So on my job, I took a year off because I knew after I had my daughter, I was going to go back to work because I knew I was leaving her. And I put a plan in place, and that's for another video. I'll go into that another video. But I know very well about domestic violence, so it's not like I could just sit here and just say things off the top of my head. No, I've been there. I've been with a man like Boston Richie with the money and the swag, and you think you got this great guy, and you think he's providing for you and buying you nice things. When I tell you that my husband was bringing home money every night, he was bringing home cash money every night. Me and my cousin, we would go to the bank and put the cash in. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but all I know is he came in every night with a bunch of 20s, 5s, and 10s. And I was going to the bank, putting the cash in the bank. They thought I was a stripper. That's what they thought. They thought when I was going to the bank, they thought I was a stripper counting out that money. And I thought I was living a good life. I'm in a Jaguar. I'm driving around in a Jaguar, wearing expensive clothes. My kids were in Baby Dior, Ralph Lauren. My kids wasn't even in Polo, honey. They was in Ralph Lauren, Baby Dior. My son was the first one that I know of that wore a Gucci belt when he was 2 years old. I was going downtown in my city to this exclusive kids store that sold only designer clothes for children, and that's where I was buying my kids clothes. My kids was decked out every day. My ex-husband had a job and he was doing illegal stuff. I don't know what it is because he never told me. Because he said if he never told me because he said if something happened to him, he don't want me to know anything because I need to be out to take care of the kids. So I thought that this man was everything. He was fine. He had swag. People feared him. He came from a family in my town that everybody knew that family. It was a large family, and I just knew I had me something. That was the biggest mistake of my life, other than my children. That was a nightmare for me. That was a nightmare. And if I would have stayed, matter of fact, it ain't about to stay with him. He almost took me out of here. The day that I finally got away from him, he went to the kitchen to get a knife to stab me. I bolted for the door. What saved me was the drug boys that was outside when I pulled that door open. They the ones that saved me because they saw him with that knife. And they came running across the street and stopped him. So that's why I said I know firsthand what goes on with domestic violence. And trust me, ever since that incident with him, I haven't had a domestic violence situation since. I got myself in therapy. I got my kids out of there, and I went on to have a better life. That's when I went back to school and everything else. All that material stuff, I didn't care about none of that material stuff when he was about to stab me with that knife. None of that mean nothing. All my bags, because I had all that. I had Gucci pocketbooks. I had a Louis bag. I had a Louis garment bag. I had all that. None of that meant anything. All those expensive clothes I had in my closet, all the jewelry, none of that meant anything. I wanted to get out of there with my life that day because my kids were at daycare and I wanted to get out of there with my life. That's what I was doing that day. So that's why I said anybody listening to this video, if you have young people in your family or young people you know, let them hear this video because this ain't nothing that I'm just speaking about on a video. I'm telling you firsthand. I know what that feels like. I know what it's like to be young and want to have these material things and have this so-called great life, and people look at you with envy and think you that girl and all that. But when you go in the house, you getting your ass beat. You getting talked to any old kind of way. You getting stuff thrown at you. So trust me, I know. And it is not as glamorous as y'all think it is. And y'all think this is cute and it's nothing. And you don't think, oh, that's not going to be my man. That ain't my life. Yes, it is. Just wait. Just wait. Because men like this, they don't stop. Because my ex-husband went to go marry another woman. And what he do? Beat on her. Because my cousin's husband works as a bail clerk in our city, and he called me one night and said, your ex-husband's down here for domestic violence. Do you want me to bail him? Do you want him to go free? I said, listen, I don't give a damn what you do. And I hung up the phone. That ain't my problem no more. Because I kept it pushing. I'm like, that is not my problem. I could care less. And I kept it moving. So he didn't stop. And to this day, he denies doing anything to me. That's what he tells my son anyway. He denies he never did a thing. But yet, I still will have a nightmare every once in a while about one particular incident that I don't like to talk about because it's just too painful for me. I've been to therapy for it and I can deal with it, but I don't like to talk about it anymore because it's very traumatizing for me. And being in a domestic violence situation is traumatizing. It's something you'll never forget. You just live with it. But I've learned I've gotten myself together. I've gotten therapy. I moved on. I educated myself and I changed. I got my life together. My second husband was nowhere near that. Me and him got divorced for totally different reasons. It had nothing to do with domestic violence. It had to do with him not being a good provider. That was his thing. He wasn't a bad person. He just wasn't a good provider. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. I'm not carrying this whole relationship. I'm not going to be the one putting out all the damn money. We ain't having that. So that was a totally different ball game. But I haven't had an abusive man since. I've never even had a man raise his voice at me since because I don't talk to men like that. And none of those things. And because I went through that, I realized the importance of what life really is. And it doesn't lie in material things. It doesn't. Because if you think these watches and jewelry and clothes and look at me and all of that, but when you go home at night, he beating on you, talking to you crazy, you don't know what to say or do because it might set him off. That's not a way to live. And then you don't want to go tell your family because it's embarrassing. Because I went through that. I involved my family in the beginning, but after a while, what did I do? I was going back like we all do. Because when you're in a domestic violence situation, most of us go back. I know the cycle. because we're going to get into that into the next video. I know the cycle. I've been through it. But you have to break the cycle and you have to realize what's important. What's important is your life. That's what's most important. All this material stuff that means nothing. You can't take it with you. You can't take it with you. That's not material things does not bring you happiness. It doesn't. It brings you like a momentary high. Oh, look at this. I look cute with this. But after about 2, 3 months, you don't care. You're on to the next thing, next pair of shoes, next pocketbook, next piece of jewelry. That's what you're on to. But when it comes to this domestic violence with men, I'm telling you, you guys, y'all young girls, y'all, I'm telling you, if it's one young woman that listens to this video and say, you know what, I got to get out of here, that's what you need to do. I'm getting ready to close out this video. I have a link in the comment section for a therapeutic call. Anybody who wants to book a therapeutic call, the link is there. Like I said, it's for people that don't know. Therapeutic call is that if you want to, vent, if you need advice, if you want to see if you're depressed, if you want to, get some advice on how to, look at certain things, we'll try, we'll work together on the call to try to come up with some sort of solution. And it also comes with a free follow-up. I'm going to close this video out now. You guys have a good one and y'all stay safe, and I'll be back with another video.